Good morning and welcome. I'm Commissioner Liz Gorman, and with me is Commissioner Joan Murphy. Also joining us this morning is Dr. Richard Grossman, President of the Chicago Veterinary Medical Association, Dr. Anthony Coronado, President-elect Chicago Veterinary Medical Association, Adrian Hochstadt, Director of State Legislation of the American Veterinary Medical Association, also known as the AVMA, Sharon Granskog, she's the Director of Media Relations with the American Veterinary Medical Association, and Eric Vogt, the Director of Public Education and Media Relations with the Chicago Veterinary Medical Association. We are here to discuss the amendment we sponsored and submitted, an amendment to the Cook County Companion Animal and Consumer Protection Ordinance at the May 21st Cook County Board meeting that we believe addresses bad breeders as well as strengthens the health and well-being of our pets without our local pet stores being put out of business and jeopardizing the jobs of our constituents through the regulatory overreach. Our amendment has been moved to the Legislative Committee, where all interested parties will debate the merits of the new amended language in the proper arena, which is scheduled to be heard on June 17th. We look forward to this open and transparent process, especially since the board was never afforded this opportunity when the original ordinance was presented, thus eliminating any chance for constructive debate and appropriate scrutiny. Our local pet stores are an important part of our economy here in Cook County, and we need to be fair and equitable in our approach to regulating their industry. Using a heavy hand against pet stores is not going to solve the problem of bad breeders and puppy mills. That is why we reached out to our experts in the pet and animal field for their input. We were pleased to have met with and to have received input from the Chicago Veterinary Medical Association, the CVMA, and American Veterinary Medical Association, the AVMA. There is no other body that protects the health and well-being of our pets more than our veterinarians. We asked them to review the ordinance and to provide us with their expert opinion and any recommendations they might have to improve and strengthen the original ordinance. We feel having broad input from those groups can help strengthen the ordinance to properly address bad breeders, protect the health and welfare of our pets, but not at the expense of our local businesses and the jobs that those businesses provide our constituents. The Regional News, a local newspaper in the Palos Orland area in the heart of Commissioner Murphy's district and our district, recently did an editorial stating that the ordinance was introduced by Commissioner Fritchie on April 2nd and rammed through the board via a maneuver that deliberately bypassed the committee system and therefore prevented appropriate discussion and deliberation of this legislation. This is a red flag if there ever was one, and basically an undemocratic shut up and vote move that the county board members unfortunately went along with. As a result, and that's the end of the quote from what the regional had stated, as a result of this ordinance, the future of Happiness's Pets, a local pet store in Orland Park, will most certainly have to close its doors and put people out of work. This will be the end result of the ordinance, if not amended. Allowing the committee process would have allowed us to closely examine the real economic impact of this ordinance. That was never done. The economic conditions are already tough here in Illinois and Cook County. We should not be passing legislation to make things worse. It's my hope that through the proper legislative process and with expertise of veterinary community and others, Cook County should be able to put forth the very best and strongest ordinance. Thank you. I'll now introduce Commissioner Murphy, who's also part of this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. I too want to add to what Commissioner Gorman said. This was rammed through the county board. We don't operate that way. Our things that come before the county board are put into committee where they can be vetted, discussed, where we understand exactly what's happening. This did not happen at this instance. But beyond that, I have received, like Commissioner Gorman has received, hundreds upon hundreds of phone calls, emails, people calling, telling us that we like puppy mills, that we're in favor of puppy mills. That is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if they knew what I have done for animals, you know, obviously they don't read the papers or watch some of the things that are on TV, they would know better than to accuse me of any of those things. I love animals. Back in 2002 or 2003, I formed PAC, Partners Against Animal Cruelty, which is exactly what the title states. We worked to help protect the animals in Cook County. Because of PAC, we had the state statutes changed, because then it went before the courts. It was always a misdemeanor, and a slap on the wrist would all that be given to anyone who broke the law or did something to hurt animals. The statutes had animal cruelty as a misdemeanor. We changed it to a felony. With the help of Chief Judge Tim Evans, he talked to all of his judges. He actually told all of his judges that if an animal abuse case came before them, they were not to treat it as just a misdemeanor, but as a felony. And there should be a fine, jail, or both attached to whatever the offense was. And that has occurred in the courts in Cook County now since 2003. In addition to that, I partnered with Tom Dart, who at the time we started PAC was not the sheriff, became the sheriff, and asked him to co-chair PAC with me. What he did was train all of the sheriff's police on how to recognize animal abuse, how to recognize if there was a dog fight going on anywhere in the area that the police, where the police are. That went so well, the training went so well, that it spread out to most of the municipalities and villages in Cook County. And so police departments all over the county took this training so they could recognize animal abuse or a pet that has been abused and neglected. This stopped much of the abuse that was going on in Cook County. It certainly limited the number of dogfighting that was going on. In fact, if I remember correctly, Tom Dodd even went downstate to break up a ring of people who were conducting dog fights. It was like the movable dice game in the old days. They were moving these fights from one place to another, from one location to another. But that has been truly cut, I should say, in the last 10 years or so. So for those folks that think that I don't like animals and that I'm in favor of puppy mills, or that anybody on this board is in favor of puppy mills, is very, very wrong. They're very wrong. I worked with Dr. Palmer, who was our former animal control person here at the county, and now I work very closely with Dr. Alexander. In fact, it was my office that started the first clinic so that people can bring their pets at a reduced price, and I know I have veterinarians standing behind me, but they bring them at a reduced price. They can get all their shots, and they can have a chip put in their ear, so if their pet is lost, it can be found. And it's done at a reduced cost to allow everyone in Cook County that has a pet can bring them and have this done. And it's done now, started out in Crestwood where my office is, and now it's spread all over the county. And these clinics take place every summer, and we get constant calls from people. When are they happening? What are the dates? And where are the locations? So I'm saying all this, not to just blow my own horn, but just to let you know that I am really opposed to what was put forth at our board meeting. It was something that hadn't, as I said, and as Commissioner Gorman said, hadn't been vetted. We hadn't had a chance to talk about it, to find out how we could strengthen what the pet stores do to make certain that they're only taking their pets from breeders, which in my area I know that they do, from good breeders, that USDA inspected breeders. I have some information that they say that they don't inspect for 10 years, 5 years, or whatever, and that's totally untrue. And so I'd like to urge folks to go to the apphis.usda.gov animal welfare section. And that website will lead you to everything that the USDA does to protect animals. And if there is someone who is violating, they are inspected constantly. If someone hasn't violated, it might be 4 years before they inspect or 3 years before they inspect, but if there's one violation, they're constantly coming back to inspect those folks that have violated. So if you go to that website, I'm sure it will relieve a lot of the thoughts that you've had about not being properly inspected, because they truly have been inspected. I don't believe that the pet stores are buying from, and I hate to use this word, puppy mills, because I don't believe they are. And if we can strengthen this ordinance by making sure that the pets that are purchased by the pet stores, that the pet stores have the same regulations that the breeders have, and maybe that's something we can add to this, to make sure that whatever the breeders have to do to make sure that they're regulated and they're following the law, that the pet shops will have to do the same thing. And when they have someone coming in to buy a pet, that they check them out. Make sure that their pet is going to a home where this pet is going to be loved, enjoyed, cared for. So that's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any questions later, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And I'm very delighted that these members from the Veterinary Medical Association are here with us today. And now I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Richard Rossman, President of the Chicago Veterinarian Medical Association.
Thank you very much, Dr. Murphy. And,
It's Commissioner
Commissioner Murphy. And
But thank you for the upgrade.
Commissioner Gorman. We like to give upgrades whenever we can. We'd like to thank the Cook County Commissioners for reaching out to the veterinary profession and involving us in this discussion. The veterinary profession is vehemently opposed to any and all sources of animals where inhumane and cruel treatment occurs. Unethical, unscrupulous breeders should be prosecuted to the fullest extent and permanently put out of business. The proposed amendments that Murphy, Gorman, and Goslin are proposing more effectively attempt to address the harm of substandard breeders in a way that does not punish breeders who are in compliance with state and federal standards, and also allows pet shops to continue to provide a service to consumers and to employ people in our communities. Veterinarians are well positioned to assess the welfare of animals and are the best source for educating individuals and families about responsible pet ownership. The profession is committed to ongoing public education to increase awareness and to bring about desired change necessary to address valid concerns regarding unethical, unscrupulous breeders. The Puppy Lemon Law, which is Illinois Public Act 098-0509, exists to protect the owners in Cook County and the state of Illinois. The Act specifically provides for the pet retailer penalties and remedies for consumers that purchase pets with medical problems. Ironically, eliminating retail pet sales would decrease the consumer's remedies in case they purchase a pet that does have an undisclosed illness. The veterinary profession is glad to and is happy to work with the President Prepwinkle and the Commission on a proactive public education campaign about responsible pet ownership and to promote the adoption of healthy, well-socialized pets into loving homes for the benefit of all the residents of Cook County. Thank you.
I introduced Dr. Rossman, but I would also like to introduce the others who are standing here with us. And if, when I say your name, you just raise your hand so that the folks will know who you are. Dr. Anthony Coronado, President-elect, Chicago Veterinary Medical Association. Adrian Hushstad, Director of State Legislation, American Veterinary Medical Association. Sharon Groscott, that's it. Director of Media Relations, American Veterinary Medical Association. Eric Vood, Director of Public Education and Media Relations, Chicago Veterinary Medical Association. And what I'd like to say about these folks, who, other than veterinarians, care more about the pets than the owners? No one. These folks have the well-being of every pet that is purchased in their hearts, and certainly in what they do as veterinarians. So if they are with us, I think that speaks volumes about what we are trying to do.
Thank you. If there's any questions, Commissioner Murphy stated, we stand here with the professionals in the industry who were shut out of the initial legislative process and look forward to the committee process on June 17th at 10:45, where this will be debated, I'm sure at length, to get the actual facts out and to halt any of the misinformation that social media has taken wave. Thank you for being here, and if there's any questions, I'm sure that the professionals and/or Commissioner Murphy and myself will answer them to the best of our
Are the professional associations specifically endorsing the amendments? the proposed amendments?
Do you want to speak? It is their language, but I'll let them, whoever wants to address that, speak.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we are supporting the changes because I think they make legitimate modifications to the current law that is out there.
And the AVMA supports the AVMA supports the overall concept of trying to target the harm, you know, without banning all sales from pet stores as well.
Are you aware of any municipalities or any other jurisdictions around the nation that did impose the ban that Cook County is facing and went back and reversed themselves? I've heard that's happened, but I don't know. I'm not aware of that, but you may be.
I know that the ordinance in Phoenix has been challenged on constitutional grounds.
Right.
That's in the courts right now. I'm not personally aware of a local government that's gone back. I primarily track state legislation, and I don't believe there are any states that have adopted a ban on pet stores.
Right. One criticism of some of the pet store owners that I've heard is that the legislation that's on track to be implemented, that will take effect on October 1st, will drive some of the problem underground. Could anybody from the associations address that? Is that a possibility? That bad breeders would not go away, but they'd simply be under the radar.
I don't think we can comment directly on that. There probably is some reality to that situation. What we feel is most important through the Veterinary Medical Associations is education of the owner. The owners of the pets are a big part of the issue that we are facing. And these pets go to shelters because they buy them and they're not prepared for the commitment that comes with it. And we feel that the greater focus should be on that lifelong commitment that goes into owning a pet. So you know, the focus is truly on education in that instance. You know, when I've been practicing for 19 years, and when the puppy lemon law came out a few years ago, you know, I was very happy to hear that because countless times I see pets come in from pet stores that are very ill. The owners are heartbroken because they're attached to this puppy. Now they've got to either give it up or let it go because they can't afford the treatment, and they had no remedy to go to the pet store. And now they did. The new law, though, effectively reverses that because they're not retail pets anymore. And the people have to go to breeders if they want a purebred or go out of state and so forth. And now they have no remedy.
All right, thank you.